Okay, let's start with our sink here. I've got a colander here in our sink where we're going to drain our ground beef and sausage. And I have a smaller colander with some diced fire roasted tomatoes that I opened, and I'm letting them drain right there in the can, because you don't want to put the juices in your sauce. Over here on our work area, I got my big pot here getting ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. Maybe medium to get it warmed up. And I have about, let's see here, about 1.3 pounds of ground round. You don't want to use chuck, you want to use ground round because it has less fat than chuck, tastes better. And I have about a pound here of mild Italian sausage that's already ground up and ready to go. And I have my 8 ounces of mushrooms. I have my onion, which we're going to cut up. By the way, this is the order it's going to go into the pot. Instead of using regular garlic, we're going to use this Gourmet Garden squeezed garlic in a tube. It's easier. I have my 3 cans of tomato sauce, 1 extra if I have to have it. And instead of using all those different herbs, we're going to use the Gourmet Garden Italian herbs that are in a tube. And we'll finish it off with some sugar. So we're going to start off, of course, with how we do our onion. Remember that pinch grip we talked about when you pull your fingers here? We're going to cut it from the top to the bottom of the onion with 1 slice. Then we're going to keep the hairy end on. We're going to go to the other end and take off a small slice. And we're going to peel it, 1 outer layer. I'm wearing my chest mount today on my GoPro. I'm such a high-tech redneck. Flat side down. Remember, the fingers are in a claw grip. You don't want to cut like this because you're going to cut your thumb. Fingers are in a claw grip. We're going to make our slices, not all the way through, about 3/4 of the way. And we're going to turn it. Make sure our tip of the knife is down. And we're going to do that rolling cup with the claw grip again, remember? Nice and slicing rolls to make our dice. Carefully. And we're going to put it in our bowl. We're going to use the whole onion, both sides. And we'll put this right back in line where it goes. Meat, mushroom, onion, garlic, sauce, herbs, sugar. I went ahead and moved the pot over to this closer burner so you can see what's happening in the pot. And it's been heating up for about a minute. It's getting pretty good and hot. I'm going to go ahead and take our little bit of oil here. A couple tablespoons, swirl it around. And we're going to start with adding that entire package of the ground beef. Push it down carefully. I'm going to go let it sit to brown for about 2 minutes. Got to get that good caramelization browning on that meat so it tastes good. We're going to use tongs on it. So I'll be back in 2 minutes. And now 2 minutes later, you can see it's starting to brown on the edges here. That's letting me know it's getting a good caramelization on the bottom. Let's go ahead and start stirring it around so it'll brown the meat completely through. All that dark caramelization meat on the bottom is going to add a lot of flavor. Just going to break it loose and move it around real good. Okay, and now we've got everything all browned up. No more pink left. We're going to get our little pot holders here, and we're going to pour this into our colander. So it'll drain. Put the pot back on the heat again. Add just another splash of oil. Swirl it around. We'll make it hot for about 30 seconds or so. And we're going to do exactly the same thing to our sausage, our ground sausage. You want to make sure you take off the back wrapper because that's non-edible. Drop it in, push it down, and we'll let it sit for about 2-3 minutes to caramelize. Get that good sear color on there for flavor. And I'll be right back. Now she's been searing off now for about 2 minutes, popping away, so I think we got some good caramelization on here. Let me flip a little bit over here and take a look. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice brown chocolate color. Perfect. Let's go ahead and get it mixed up good now on our sauces, just like we did with the ground beef. And we'll get it cooked off so it's no pink left. All right, now that our sausage is all browned off, through the magic of editing, we're going to go ahead and use our spatula and get all those bits off the sides and off the bottom. Scrape everything off as much as you can. We're going to dump it right on top of the ground beef in our colander. We're going to put that right back on the heat again. And it's a little more oil. Then we're going to now sear off our mushrooms. And the same as with the meat, when you put them in, don't touch them for about 3 minutes, let them caramelize. Never add salt to your spaghetti sauce because there's tons of it in the tomato sauce. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in some fresh cracked pepper, because I love fresh cracked pepper on my mushrooms. Really brings out the flavors. Mushrooms are 75% water, so never wash your mushroom. Just knock off any dirt if you have to, but just put them right in the pot. And remember, don't touch them for about 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Now I've been searing everything so far on the high temperature, which you need to get the searing effect on the meat and the mushrooms and the onions of the sauce. That's the secret to the sauce, is the flavor of the caramelization. Now the mushrooms are untouched for at least 3 minutes, maybe longer. But find one that's got contact with the bottom of the pan and check it. And it should be nice and brown and caramelized. See that nice brown edge there? So now we're ready. We can go ahead and get the rest of them sauteed up for about another minute. You hear them sizzling? Sounds like, that's called the applause. Sounds like you were at a sporting event and the people were cheering. When that sizzling settles down, you know they're done. That means all the water's been cooked out of them. And these are looking pretty good. Nice color on them. The applause has kind of settled down. It's not as loud as it was. So we'll go ahead and pick this up. Put it right on top of our ground beef and ground sausage that we already cooked. Back to the heat. A little more dab of oil. Not much. And now we're going to cook it. We're going to be cooking our onions, and we're going to be using this to flavor our sauce, and the meat will go back in at the end. So we'll start with the onions, put them in, and again, put them in, let them sit for about a minute or two to caramelize. That color is so important. And while that's searing off for about a minute, we're going to go ahead and take our drained tomatoes in the colander, and we're going to put them right in line after the tomato sauce and before the herbs, in line to go into the pot. That looks and smells about right. Let's go ahead and give them a saute here. Ooh, beautiful color. Look at that. Ooh. All that burn at the bottom of the pan, that brown stuff, that's called fond, and it's all flavor. When we put the sauce in, the tomato sauce, that's all going to deglaze and come up and go right into the flavor of the sauce. That's why I hope you're cooking on stainless steel, I hope, not non-stick, because that's not very good. Stainless steel is the best, as you know. We've got some good color here. We don't want to cook the onions too much. Now we're going to put in our squeezed garlic. How much? About the length of your finger. So measure out how your finger would go in the pot without burning yourself. And we'll put in a squirt, about the length of one finger. And we're going to give it a saute. But you don't want to cook it for more than 30 seconds because it'll burn. And if you burn it, it's very bitter. So we're just going to give it a quick saute to get the flavor to come up. Man, that smells good. And we're going to go ahead and dump in 3 of our cans of our tomato sauce. And 3. And we'll give it a stir here and get it kind of going. Now we're going to add those drained tomatoes that we drained earlier. Give them a stir in. We're going to add our meats back in and mushrooms, the ground beef, the sausage, and the mushrooms. We'll add them right into the pan, slowly. And this is where we're going to know if we need that 4th can of sauce or not. We get everything stirred up. Let's see if we need it or not. Yep, I think we are. Yep, I'm stirred everything in, and as you can see, it's more meat than sauce. So, let's get that 4th can in there. Then we'll stir it. Ooh, that looks perfect. Perfecto. At this point, all we have to do now is to add our squeezed herbs. So we're going to actually do 2 fingers. 1, 2. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go 3. Because I like my sauce herby. You can always add more later if you want more herbs in there. And we'll stir it all in. And it should start to come to a boil pretty quick. We are going to add, because there's so much acid in here from the tomatoes, has lots of acid, we're going to add a little bit of sugar. Let's try it this way. I'm going to do a tablespoon. 1, 2, 2.5. We'll stir that in. And right about now it should start to simmer. As soon as you start to get a couple of bubbles to appear, we're going to take the heat and go to medium low. We're going to pop on our lid, not all the way, but kind of a crack on the lid so it has a chance to breathe a little bit. And we'll let it simmer for about an hour. And you got to stir it or keep it stirred every 5-10 minutes or so. So don't get too far away from it. You don't want it to scorch on the bottom of the pan. And at this point we can clean up a little bit. All we're going to leave out is our herbs and our sugar, because we might want to put a little bit more of that in. And then we'll clean up. Man, I ain't changing nothing. So we don't need any of this or the sugar. And every 5 or 10 minutes or so, just give it a little stir so it doesn't scorch on the bottom. Keep that lid cracked. By the way, the same process we just did right now is exactly the same thing we're going to do when you make chili. It's just a few ingredients that we're changing out. Now that the sauce has been simmering for about 15-20 minutes, we're going to go to medium-low, closer to low. And we're going to continue for about another 45 minutes, 1 hour total. The 1 hour total of reduction is what's going to give all the flavor. You have to reduce it a little bit and simmer it, otherwise it'll be too watery. So we'll see what it looks like now, and then the next video will be in about 45 minutes to 1 hour. Now with about 15 minutes to go, I did a taste test and noticed that the herbs weren't really prominent, so we're going to add some more of this squeezed herbs here. We'll end up probably putting in about a half a tube total, because this is a pretty big batch. And I guess you can tell I got my helper down here. Here's our finished sauce. We'll go ahead and get our ladle in here and we'll go ahead and turn it off. In the meantime, I've got some water I'm boiling here for this pasta. We'll add some 2 or 3 pinches of salt too. Always boil your angel hair in salted water. We'll get that starting to boil. 1 pound box of the angel hair pasta is plenty enough for 4 hungry college kids. Of course, it's just Mom and me tonight, so I'm looking at maybe about a third of this or less. And we're going to break it in half and drop her in. And we'll keep it moving as she boils. It won't take very long because this is angel hair. I think it's going to have to boil for only about maybe 2 minutes max. Don't overcook it, it'll turn to mush. And we got our colander in our sink here. This is our plating station. I got our 2 plates or 4 plates, how many people are eating. Of course, our Parmesan cheese, unless you want to use the fresh stuff. Now, as you know, Mom likes to have 2 kinds of sauce because she grew up at a spaghetti warehouse in Tampa. She likes a butter sauce with her, so we got a little station set up here for her butter sauce pasta and her other red sauce pasta on the side. Okay, now that the pasta's done, we're going to go ahead and take it over to our colander here in the sink and drain it. Ooh, that's steamy. Do not rinse it. I'm going to shake it up. Steamy, huh? To drain it. If you rinse it, it's going to be too watery. You'll have watery on the plate. We're going to start with here is we're going to put a pat of butter at the bottom of our bowl right here. We're going to put in some pasta on top of the butter for Mom's butter sauce. Just swirl around a little bit to melt that butter in there. This is whole butter, not margarine. We'll add just a couple, maybe a pinch or 2 of the Parmesan cheese to melt in there with the butter. Keep it moving. We'll plate that. And then we'll give her a little bit of pasta over here on this side. And just a little bit of that. Make sure there's mushrooms in there. She loves mushrooms. Red sauce on the pasta side without the butter sauce. And of course, a little more Parmesan on top. A little Parmesan on top of the butter sauce. And Mom is ready. Let's eat.